When you first look at Ruffy in the Riverside, it immediately reminds you of some of the best adventure, platforming, and 3D collectathon games that ever existed. But does Ruffy land among these greats? Ruffy has this beautiful 2D hand-drawn art style where the art's on cardboard canvases moving around the world, and the world is this low-poly 3D, kind of like Super Mario 64. If you just got an initial glimpse of the gameplay of this game, you would probably think that much like Mario 64 or Banjo-Kazooie, that this is going to be a platforming game with collectathon elements and some puzzles. After my initial playthrough of this game, I can say that this is clearly a puzzle game first with collectathon elements and light platforming. It's a game that's full of surprises, a lot of them by design, some of them not so by design. You play as Ruffy, who sets off on an adventure to prove himself as the chosen one and save Riverside from evil. You do this by using Ruffy's swap ability, which is the core mechanic in this game. Swap ability allows you to copy certain textures from within the game and paste them onto certain other textures or objects in the game. This allows you to get through paths you otherwise might not able to get to. This mechanic also kind of leads to some awkward moments in the game, at least for me in my playthrough of it. There were times when I just stopped making progress and it came down to me not using the swap ability. Again, the swap mechanic is like the core identity of this game. It changes the physics of the game, like based on whatever textures that you're using. Wood can float, lava can burn, and you can turn a waterfall into a vine that you can climb. It's a very clever idea, honestly, and like one that I'm surprised I haven't really seen in games more often. And it's clear that they put a lot of time and effort into building the game around this core mechanic. The game mixes gameplay styles, so you'll have puzzles, very limited amount of combat in this game, and then you'll have the collectathon aspect of the game. The puzzles are clearly the part of this game that got the most love. You can have puzzles within puzzles within puzzles, and then the puzzles vary in scope. Like there's just a wide variety of puzzle types in this game, and there's just puzzles upon puzzles upon puzzles, and there's just more. It's clear to me that more thought and attention went into the puzzles than any other part of this game. The open world is more just kind of like this big hub area, and then you just kind of traverse that hub area to get to different parts of Riverside to complete the task that you need to for the main storyline. The open world in game, the traversal at the very start of it is definitely cumbersome. Takes a while to cross it, and just you will have to go from one end to the other at the beginning. But as you get later into the game, they give you different ways of getting across the open world much faster. But I feel like the open world itself is kind of unnecessary. I feel like they put it there just to kind of give the game scope and feel like you have control over what you're doing. The game itself is fairly linear. I do feel like the open world could have just been completely eliminated and you just do the point-to-point missions, and the game largely would have just felt the same, but we got the open world. So then that brings us to the combat. Combat in this game is very, very, very basic, and it doesn't ever evolve in this game. To me, it's clear that that's the weakest link in this game. Combat is not something that you really look forward to in this game. There are boss fights. The boss fights themselves felt more like a box that was checked than something that you're working towards. The boss fights are insanely straightforward. You just run up to the boss and you attack. There are different phases to the boss fights, but I felt like nothing actually changed in the boss fights as you kind of move to each phase to phase. Like the boss fight literally just stayed the same from beginning to end, and you check that box and then you just moved on. The game's story itself is told through a lot of dialogue. There is no voice acting in this game, so it's just text boxes that come up in conversations between characters that happen on screen. There is a lot of dialogue in this game. The pacing feels like it can be very off and unbalanced because of the amount of dialogue. That is one of the things that I've seen in post-game launches that the devs have gone through trying to reduce the amount of dialogue. When I was playing this game initially, I would be just thinking to myself, like, wow, they're still talking. So I do feel like I've kind of talked about things that kind of lean towards the cons. So I'll talk about some things that I do like about the game. The art style, the visual style, just the whole artistic direction of this game, A+. I love the style of this game. The color palette's beautiful, the art style is beautiful, the low poly world is beautiful. All of it is very cohesive. The music is also insanely good. It fits very well with the aesthetic of the world itself. Like everything is just kind of weird and wonky. Kind of like Banjo-Kazooie, honestly. Visibly and audibly, this game is very, very reminiscent of a Banjo-Kazooie or a Mario 64. and I do really like that. The game also does have a little bit of quality of life things. So like in this game, you can purchase things, you purchase abilities, you have capes, and you can upgrade those capes, and you upgrade those capes by playing a big slot machine. And then that slot machine is run by coins. And the coins in each area of the world respawn when you leave an area and come back to it. So it's never hard to get coins. You can also upgrade Ruffy's health by purchasing health upgrades and stuff. And again, because the coins are constantly respawning, it never feels like you're going out of your way to grind for coins. You just kind of go out, do a mission, you come back, you have enough money to do some upgrades, you do some upgrades. By the end of the game, you're kind of maxed out without even trying, which is really nice. And the charm is real. This game just oozes charm in the best kind of way. Again, everything is just kind of weird and wonky in the best way, and I love it. And if you're not a puzzle person, a lot of the puzzles, especially the ones that you have to do for the storyline, there's usually an NPC there that you can pay with the game's coin currency, and then they'll just give you the solution to the puzzle. So if you don't want to figure it out, there's almost always some way around it. When I first saw Ruffy in the Riverside and I first booted it up, this was a game that I wanted to love all the way through just because it just hit so many nostalgia check marks. For the first part of this game, I did really enjoy it. And then as I got further into the game and realized that it's not exactly the game that I was expecting, I was somewhat disappointed. Like, I'm traditionally not a person that really seeks out puzzle games, especially a game that's core focus is puzzles. That's just not the type of game that I like. I ended up not liking this game as much as I would have liked, not to say that I didn't like the game overall. Overall, this is still a game that I would highly recommend to people, especially if you catch it on sale. I think it's like $15 to $20 now without the launch discount going on. And so at $15 to $20, I would say wait until you can catch it on sale. But I would say that this is definitely a game that you should play and experience. It is a fun game, and just be prepared for like the dialogue. I know that the devs seem like they've done at least 2 updates to the game where they're trying to reduce the amount of dialogue in the game. Hopefully by the time you get to play this game, it isn't just jam-packed with dialogue like it was when I played the game at launch. But again, this is a game that I think most people who watch this channel would overall enjoy, and I would recommend playing this game. And that brings us to the end of another review. I was a little bit slower on this one. I actually played this game almost 2 weeks ago and didn't get around to recording it that quick just because I had some other stuff going on, and I wanted to do a little bit of a revamp in the game room, as you can see. But I do have some more game reviews coming up, and I have some other stuff that I'm working on, and I will talk about in a video coming up. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out some of the other reviews of games. I've been doing a lot of reviews on indie games recently, and I have some hardware reviews coming up and some more reviews of some other indie games that are coming up. And I just like talking about video games and video game adjacent things, so if that's something you're interested in, this is a place for you. So please be sure to stick around and see what's coming up next. And until the next time, take it easy, stay hydrated, stay awesome, deuces.